Get better.
Yeah.
I have a real quick reading from Norina. Should we do that?
Okay, go for it.
It's fragments from a spiritual diary. She says, Baba says, be ready. Love is God. It is the key to the mystery of life. When you are willing to shed your prejudices and are ready to live for me, that shall be the signal for me to speak with the sound of my voice. Try to seek me as your friend. Seek me as the Father. Seek me as the Christ. Seek me as the beloved. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Hey, Baba.
Jay Baba. Well, let's see. I know it's kind of a late hour for some of you, and but if we don't let Naosherwan go too long, well, we can get him again. So we won't let him go up to midnight. Maybe just to 11.
It's
But,
okay. It's okay with me, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that we like you to come back again and again. You know. You don't want just one trip to the tavern. But I do have to say that, Naosherwan met Baba, well, it must have been the late 40s, and he has no recollection of that meeting. I mean, can you imagine that you would meet God in human form and you don't even remember it? But the reason is that he was only 2 months old, and Baba came to their house in Dehradun, and he carried Naosherwan around in his from room to room in his own house. I hope I got that right.
Yeah.
But and we left off where he was in his teenage years. But I was hoping that you could give a flavor again of when the last time you saw Baba during that period was when you were 7. Can you give us a little flavor of you and a bunch of the kids going to see Baba when you were 7, and then take us into your teenage years?
Okay. Jai Meher Baba to my extended family.
Yeah.
Jeff gave me an absolutely wonderful assignment. We spoke a few days back, and he asked me if I would read some of the letters that Baba wrote to me. And after over 55 years, I went through my old letters and brought a bunch with me to read and share with you. So that was a very nice, happy feeling to go back and to pick out all the letters, some of the letters that Baba had written to me, which will show what a great beloved he was to his lovers. Every step of the way, helping you understand the direction that you need to take in life, how you would stumble and he would cheerfully pick you up and lead you on. And that was my experience, particularly in my teenage years, when I was stumbling all the time and always ready to disobey the beloved. So you mentioned about the age of 7, which would be about 1953. Now, 1953 was a very significant year for Baba levels in Dehradun. Baba had come to Dehradun and he stayed in Dehradun for a year. And he did not give darshan to anyone for nearly a year. And people were clamoring for his darshan. There was a big board put outside 101 Rajpur Road. That was where he lived. And on the board was written, Meher Baba will not give darshan at this time, but he will not leave Dehradun without giving his darshan to the people to his lovers in Dehradun. And it was in Hindi and in English. This big board was put up. Despite that, people would hide behind bushes and try and see him from various different quarters, behind the wall, behind a tree. They would try and get a glimpse of him. So I don't know whether I mentioned this little story about this this couple coming in and asking Baba for his blessings. Did I mention this, Jeff?
Yeah, you did. You told that story, and yeah.
Okay, so I won't repeat that. So the reason why this was such a significant stay in Dehradun was because on September 7, 1953, Zoroaster's birthday, Baba gave a darshan program, and it was on this day that he gave his iconic message, the highest of the high. And this message he gave because of that incident. You know, my belief is, and if you go through all the messages of Baba, you will conclude that every message has some kind of a preamble, some kind of an event that has preceded this. It just wasn't something that came out of the blue. Always his messages, particularly his longer messages, had a historic precedence. And there would be some kind of a event that may have happened. And in this case, there was the event of this couple coming and demanding his blessings. So that's when he said, I'm not a Mahatma or a Mahapurush or so and so forth. I am the highest of the high. And on this particular day, Baba had invited the Nalavala family. Did I narrate the story also about visiting 101 Rajpur Road, Jeff?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay. So on that morning of September 7, 1953, Baba invited the Nalavala family to his home for breakfast. And the ladies had made rava, which is semolina, those who know. My father was not allowed to come in because men were not allowed to come where the women mandali were there. So he was there repairing their sewing machine because my father was in the sewing machine business. So my mother, my sister, and myself.
I'm sure you can.
What's up? Did you have a question?
No, someone came in and wasn't muted.
Okay.
Yep.
So we came and there was rava on the table, and Baba embraced each one of us, and we sat down. And then, among the Parsis, they put chalk, colorful chalk, on the floor, on what is known as a patla, or a little wooden thing that on special occasions. So this was Zoroaster's birthday, but it was also Meher Baba's birthday. So Baba stood on the patla. Mehra put a vermilion on his forehead with some rice. And I stood as a 7-year-old watching all this. And I turned to Mehra and I said, why is my birthday not being celebrated? And Mehra turns to me and said, and why not? So then Baba stepped down. I stepped onto the patla, and Mehra put tika, a little vermilion, on my forehead. And then we sat down at the dining table. In those days, my sister was learning Indian classical music, and I was learning the tabla. Cliff is right here. Okay. So I was learning the tabla at the time. So my sister sang a song. I played the tabla on the dining table and regaled Baba. And anytime you do the smallest little thing for Baba, he would always give you a gift. So he gave us a small plastic purse He gave a red one to my sister and a green one to me with his photograph inside. And he gave that as a gift. And then all of us went out. The whole 101 Rajpur Road was constructed in such a way that Baba's house was way at the back, and then you had to walk a little distance. If you see the 1953 Dehradun film, you'll see Baba walking out towards the mandap, towards the place where he was to give darshan. So we walked out with him, and we felt like very important people and so forth, walking with the master. And we came to the mandap, and that's when Baba gave the highest of the high message. My father was in charge of the books. He was in charge of the books that people wanted to buy or things like that, in a small little tent. And on this particular occasion, there was a school for the deaf and the dumb, and it was called Nanni Dunya. Nanni means small, Dunya means world, small world. And they made a huge garland, very, 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 very long. So there were I think there were about 50, 60, 70 students. They all held the garland, and they came and they put it round Baba, and just another turn, and then it was taken off Baba. But Baba was very pleased. Each one of them came, got Baba's embrace, and got some prasad. And I was, of course, the mischievous one. So I would get in line, collect a prasad from Baba, and then get back into line to take prasad again. So this was some of the delightful memories of being 7.
Yeah, Naosherwan, and what are, you're there around Baba and everything. What are your thoughts about him? Are you thinking of him as God? Are you thinking of his as a grandfatherly figure? Are you thinking, as a young kid, that age, when you were 7, who is Baba to you? Or had you formulated much?
Well, I saw him as my father. I mean, I did have a father, but I saw him as a father figure who loved me, who cared for me, who deeply loved me, and I deeply loved him in return. So it was a relationship, a connection of love, which a small child would have towards his father. That was the way I saw him. I did not see him as God. I did not see him as anybody saintly or anything at all. But I saw him as somebody who loved me the way I guess I did not feel the same love from my father or mother. Not that they didn't love me. They loved me dearly and deeply. But the love that Baba gave and the attention that Baba gave a great deal of attention to me. And when you were a small little 7-year-old, for example, he would put me on his lap and take his fingers, put them around his hand and ask me to pull out the big finger. And, these little things brought us closer and closer. Like the way you read about the Westerners who were with him in Europe in the 30s. Gradually, he brought each one of them closer and closer in different myriad ways. And that's how he brought me closer and closer.
Did you feel like he was knew everything, or were you even thinking in that through that lens that he seems to know me perfectly? He kind of knows what I'm going to do, what I'm up to. Did you feel that, or?
You wouldn't have those thoughts when you're 7 years old. Those thoughts wouldn't come to you. Your thoughts would be, when am I going to get my next prasad?
Okay, beautiful. So this gives the people that are new, who might be new, a flavor of the experience you had with Baba, and then he left, and you headed off into your eventually your teenage years. So when Baba left, how were you? How and when did you see him next after after this? When you were 7?
Well, that day was probably the worst day that I can imagine. Um, I was distraught, completely distraught. Sobbed uncontrollably at the railway station when Baba was leaving, because none of us knew when we would see him again. It was a heart-wrenching moment for us. And I don't know how the others took it, but from that point onwards, I was in decline um, from a perspective of separation. That separation was a little excessive for me. I couldn't handle it. Let's put it that way. That Baba, after all this wonderful time that I had with him, intimate time that I had with him, he had now left. So your question was, when was the next time I saw him? The next
Yeah,
time
and
I saw him. Is that what you asked me?
yeah, the next time, and then how you did in those intervening years until you saw him again.
So those intervening years were naturally very difficult, writing poems to Baba, writing letters to Baba, sending him cables, um, doing various different things that I had to balance between going to school and thinking about Baba. But all my focus was on Baba in those intervening years, wanting to be with him all the time. And that moment came in 1962 at the East-West gathering.
So this is like what 8 years
Yes,
later.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
But the correspondence was constant with the Manli. Baba's instructions would come to my father and mother, and work would go on. In the meantime, a place called Meher Dham, which means the house of Meher, was constructed, and I would go there regularly, but I would keep silence. Even I don't remember any time that I had not kept silence on July 10th. Every July 10th, even as children, we kept silence. So it was constant touch with Baba, but then meeting him was a joy, a joy. So it was 1962, and this was another delightful period. I could only go for one day on the first day, but it was a full first day. So we all gathered outside Guru Prasad early morning, and there were hordes of people outside. The gates were closed exactly at the appointed time. I believe it was 9 o'clock when the gates opened. And like maniacs, we ran as the feeling that we would not meet Baba, we would not see Baba. We were like total maniacs. And they all were running with us. People with crutches were running with us. I mean, everybody was running under the impression that they didn't know what to expect. But when we went inside, there were a group of people who were directing everybody to where they should sit. I was under Uttar Pradesh, which is where Dehradun fell under at that time. It's a different state now, a different name, but it was Uttar Pradesh. People from Maharashtra sat under Maharashtra. People from Gujarat sat under Gujarat. The Westerners were already seated in front. They were all seated in front. And then there were stilts had been put up. there were stilts that had been put up with a platform on the stilts. And on that stilt was a platform, and on the platform sat Madhusudan and his group of singers playing the harmonium and the tabla and singing songs on this platform. It was a wonderful scene. And there were thousands, I would say hundreds and thousands of people. It was very difficult to figure out how many because it went way to the back at the East-West gathering. And Baba had still not come. So there was the stage, there was his chair, and there were some people seated on the Maharani Shanta Devi of Baroda was seated on the floor. And the Yogi Shuddhananda Bharti was on the left. So we saw the scene. And then Baba came out. He was wearing a long sadra. Dr. Bharucha and Era Jasawala were holding him from either side. And I couldn't believe who I was seeing. The Baba that I saw in 1953 had still long hair, and he was now much older, heavy set. But the moment he stepped onto the stage, thousands of people in unison shouted, "Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai," 3 times. And my hair stood on edge. I had thrills going through my body. He was sending out waves and waves and waves of love. That was the impact. The body didn't matter. What he was doing was matter. He was sending out waves of love. So then Baba did this and everybody sat down. And a thought went through my mind. It's been 7, 8 years that I've seen him. If he saw me now, would he recognize me? Would he know that I'm Naosherwan? Hardly had this thought crossed my mind when Irich on the mic said, "Baba wants Naosherwan on the stage." I was stunned. So I go up on the stage and Baba embraces me. I kiss him. And Baba says to me, "How is your health?" I said, "Baba, my health is good. Are you good in studies?" I said, "Yes, Baba, but mathematics, arithmetic is my weak point." So Baba said, "Don't worry about it. It was also my weak point in school." So I always suffered because of arithmetic. So anyway, and then of course I sat on the ground with him, on the floor next to Maharani Shanta Devi. But there are some interesting little things. When you're in Baba's presence, you don't see anybody. You only see him. You're always staring at him. My mother and my father were volunteers at the East-West gathering. And so my mother stood at the edge. She was supposed to keep the people from rushing up to Baba. But she would stand for hours and hours and hours and just simply stare at Baba, just stare at him. So if you look at the films, you'll see this lady with a woolen blouse in a sari standing there staring at Baba. She was completely, deeply in love with Baba. So what happened was that, and these are, I'll just narrate 2 instances that really touched my heart. Now, all of us say this, Jai Baba, Jai Baba, Jai Baba, Jai Baba, all the time. In the morning, we say Jai Baba to each other. We don't really mean it. We say Jai Baba as a matter of habit, as a practice, as a routine, as a ritual. But what I noticed was that this vast crowd of people sitting there, somebody would shout at the farthest end, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai, and Baba's hand would go to his heart. So when I saw that, I think I was the only one who saw that because I was sitting right at his feet. I said, wow, Baba did this. I thought maybe that was, he just did it once. Then somebody would shout, Jai Baba, and Baba's hand would again go to his heart. Each time I saw this and I noticed it. And I realized that Jai Meher Baba, for Meher Baba, was not just a ritual or a habit or something that somebody would say. It was a sacrament. That's what it was. It was special. So next time you say Jai Meher Baba to somebody, say it with all your heart, the way Baba accepted it. And Baba will accept that too, even today. So that was one incident. The second incident was very touching, and I'm going to share this with you. So in Dehradun, there was a couple whose name, the man's name was, his name was Group Captain Sakre. Group Captain Manohar Sakre. And his wife's name was Mona Sakre. And they were high up in the Air Force. And in fact, he used to sit on the War Council just before the India-China War. And he used to sit with Nehru and the entire cabinet. And at one stage, he handed over to each one in the War Council a copy of Meher Baba on War. So he was a gutsy man. So his wife was seated on the stage. And she, unfortunately, had always kept very bad health and had always was in and out of the hospital, doctor's offices and all that. So Baba sends Iraj to her to tell her that Baba wants to see you. She was a distance away. Baba wants to see you. And she turns her face and refuses to come to Baba. She was angry with Baba. So she comes to, Iraj comes back and Baba says, go and tell her again that Baba really wants you to come. So again, Iraj went, and very reluctantly, with a look of anger on her face, she comes to Baba. And I'm seeing all this entire thing unfold in front of my eyes. And Baba says, Mona, I know how much you suffer, but won't you bear this infinitely small amount of suffering for me? I suffer for the whole universe. Will you not share in my suffering? And she broke down sobbing uncontrollably. And Baba pulled out his handkerchief, gave it to Mona, dabbed her ears, consoled her, and she went and sat down. This incident moved me deeply, deeply, of how Baba took care of each one of those who loved him with attention, care, and affection. So this was a couple of incidents at the East-West gathering. And then I had to go back home because I had to appear for my exams a few days later, and I couldn't stay on. But on that one particular day, it rained very, very heavily to a point where the entire Shamiana, the awning, collapsed, and the Westerners were in a flurry, and they were all drenched. But we all stood there in the rain getting drenched. Just standing there and getting drenched in his love.
So let me just stop there for a moment. Now, at that time, you are about what, 17? Huh?
46?
No, I mean, how old were you that you're about 17 or?
17, yeah.
Now, what are your feelings about Baba now? How are you seeing him now? You know, we know how you said when you were 7.
Hmm.
What is what is he to you now?
I was plotting and planning how best to be close to him. Leaving him at the East-West gathering on the first day was another heart-wrenching moment for me. I was thinking all the time, not knowing that soon after this, I would go through a phase that was memorable in my life. A phase of deep, deep separation from Baba, wanting to be with him, writing letters to him, writing poems to him, not paying attention to my studies. And my father was putting pressure on me to decide what I wanted to do with my life. And my father was blaming my mother to focusing all my attention on spiritual matters and things like that. So there was a little bit of a conflict going on in the house till a stage came when I joined college, and my father was very anxious that I joined the Indian Military Academy because that was based in Dehradun. The Indian Military Academy was a place where all young men from Dehradun went. It was what Sandhurst is to England, West Point is to America, Indian Military Academy is to India. And all of us were very attracted. I was attracted to the Indian Military Academy with all this. The young cadets would come out on weekends and they would have polished belts and stars and all kinds of things and berets, and it was all very smart. And I wanted to be in the Indian Military Academy. That was the beginning. Till, of course, there was a transformation. So, and my father was very happy that I was heading in that direction because the salaries were superb, excellent salaries. And then you would become a colonel and a major general, and you would be in the army, and you would, be in the artillery or in the infantry, and so on and so forth. Your career is made. And that's how my father saw me. So, and then, of course, I was also a debater. So, 3 times I won the All India debates, and these debates were always held at the Indian Military Academy, and it was represented by colleges from all over the country. So I would win these, and my parents would come there, and so it was always a very ceremonial occasion. And then I was interviewed. Every college had a unit called the Officers Training Unit. The government had decreed that before people joined the Indian Military Academy, they would train them in the officers training unit, which was like a boot camp for the Indian Military Academy, to prepare you for the Indian Military Academy. It was very tough, and they would send you to 8-week camps. So I joined the officers training unit and I was sent to camp. This was a tough camp. You could never be seen walking. You always had to run, even if you were going for your breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you had to run and go with your plate and mug and get your food. If you were caught walking, you would have to take a rifle and run around the parade ground and so forth. And of course, you had to do obstacles and all kinds of things. Now, I was deeply in love with Meher Baba, and here I was at the 6-week camp. And one day in the morning, I was polishing my shoes and blancoing my belt. And all of us were sitting and doing the same thing, polishing our boots and blancoing our belts, because we were checked. Our outfits were checked. And you know, every group has a jokester, a guy who pokes you, who makes fun of you. So one chap decided that he would take me on, and he knew of my relationship with Meher Baba and said something really vulgar about Meher Baba. And at that moment, I dropped my belt, I caught hold of him and started to throttle him till everybody around me rushed and pulled me. If they had not, I would have throttled him completely, possibly killed him. I was, there's a Hindi word called junoon, Urdu word called junoon. I was in junoon. That means, I don't know what the equivalent would be, but absolutely livid. So, but soon after,
madness.
Temporary, yeah. But soon after, I went into severe remorse, finding myself difficult to forgive myself. This is not what Baba would want of me. What have I done? I shouldn't have done this. This is terrible. This is a terrible reaction. And from the camp, I wrote a letter to Baba, explaining what I had done, expressing remorse, and that I was terribly sorry, and that I wanted Baba to forgive me for this failure. And this is what Baba wrote to me. This is on July 1965. My dear Naosherwan, your very loving letter was read out to beloved Baba despite the severe ban on correspondence. Baba was very happy to hear from you, and he directs me to convey to you and to your very dear parents his love and blessings. Baba and we all are happy you completed the 42 hectic days of camping and are back home. Baba's reply didn't come to the camp, it came to my home by the time the camp was over and I had gone home. And this is very interesting. We are all so proud of you, dear Naosherwan, that you did not spare yourself even while camping to be of some use to others who had not heard of the advent of the avatar. Beloved Baba was touched to hear the account of your encounter with the tough element in your camp. He told me to let you know that his nazar is on you, and he wants you never to feel upset with such persons who, in their ignorance, jeer at you for bringing to them the warmth of love of the Ancient One. Love them all the more, for they deserve to be looked after diligently and with compassion. And then, of course, he says that the letter was shared with all the Mandli and with everybody and so forth. And with much love to you and love and blessings from Baba. But this is the way Baba explained to you. And this one particularly, that love them all the more, for they deserve to be looked after diligently and with compassion. So that was the first little incident that I encountered. And but that's my nature.
Naosherwan, let me ask you again.
Huh.
Are you by now you're thinking Baba is like the avatar or
Yes.
God in human form? So you,
Yes.
yeah, and you would kind of like to be with him like the Mandali were with him.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. I wanted to be one of the Mandli. Right. But it is my nature, and all my life, when I narrate other incidents, you will see that I did not take any upfront to Baba lightly, that I was very, very aggressive, always, and still am. So, but that's my nature. That's what Baba has asked of me. So, so then go ahead. What would be your next question?
Well, now you said you had was there other correspondence before this correspondence, things that you wrote to Baba, your poems and your letters, any of his response to that you have there with you, that was earlier?
No, then I go into 66, which was the toughest year.
Okay, yeah.
And that was the year when I had a daily correspondence with Baba. Cables, letters, every day.
Beautiful.
As a result of an incident in my life.
Well, let's hear about that incident.
Okay.
If that's the next thing.
So then what happened was that my internal clock, my feelings began to go into decline, in a sense that I became more and more must-like. I became, did not study at all, would repeat Baba's name all the time. And I started hitting my head against the wall and bleeding, something that Baba had done when he was Merwan. And my parents became extremely worried, thinking that I had lost my mind. And in those days, I had I had discovered Khalil Gibran, the Lebanese poet. And I would read him, close the book, and recite his poems by heart. And all kinds of things. I would feel cold when it was hot. I was hot when it was cold. My parents would put blankets on me. Terrible things started to happen to me. And I became sicker day by day, day by day. And then there was something that I did not tell my parents. And that was that I was going to Baba, to see Baba, to be with Baba. And I confided in a friend, and I booked tickets to Ahmednagar. But just before leaving, a few days before leaving, I was very close to my mother. And I told my mother in strict confidence not to tell my father. My father was a strict man with me and didn't hesitate to wallop me now and again when I was growing up. So I never wanted to tell him, but I told my mother that I was going. My mother was stunned. I had already written a letter to Baba with tears, and Irich had once told me that we could barely read your letter because there were blotches of water on, but those were tears on that letter that I wrote to Baba saying that I was coming. And around the same time, I told my mother, and my mother was stunned. What her concern and worry was that if she repeatedly would ask me, "Oh, what would you do if Baba turned you away? What would you do?" And I had these fanciful ideas. I would make a hut outside Mirazad, and I would stay in that hut, and I would beg for my food, and I had all these fanciful ideas. And my mother was terribly worried that I would be pulled away by some crooked yogi or a Swami or one of these itinerant monks who roam the streets of India and be led away. So, but my mother was a very gutsy woman. She wrote, she sent cables to Baba. In those days, sending cables was like a small fortune. So she sent cables after she went to the post office, took the postmaster general in her confidence and told him that there is a matter of life and death here, that she was sending these cables, but he has to receive the cables. They should not come to our house. So he agreed, and the cables, and any cable that came from Baba had to come to him. So that she made an arrangement with this postmaster. So as the days came closer, my situation became more and more worse, and I started to visualize myself, as Vivekananda was to Ramakrishna, I was to Meher Baba. I began to see myself as Vivekananda and got myself photographed like Vivekananda and so forth, and sent a letter to Baba with attaching a photograph that my father sent to him. And my father wrote separate letters in Gujarati to Baba, explaining all this, the whole situation as had gone complete. Then my mother told my father, and my father then wrote to Baba long letters explaining how this entire situation had gone out of hand. And then just 2 days before I was to leave for Ahmednagar, I get a cable from Baba in the middle of the night. Renounce nothing but your present attitude. Letter follows. So, but I was in no mood to listen to Baba. I wanted to disobey him every step of the way because I knew what his reaction would be. So I said, no, I'm going. I am going. I'm not stopping. I bought my tickets. I'm going. So my mother said, okay, go. But wait till Baba's letter comes. He said, letter follows. Why don't you wait till his letter comes? We had these terrible, awful scenes in the house. So Baba's letter comes. And this is Baba's letter. My dear Naosherwan, beloved Baba sent you the following telegram today. And this was followed by another cable. Renunciation not necessary. Appear for your examination. No darshan till 1967. End. Rest assured, One day my grace will be on you to know me as I am. Mer Baba. Baba wants to know whether you have received this cable. And then Baba then he continues. Beloved, may I continue reading?
Go ahead, yes.
Yeah. Beloved Baba wants you to know that for spiritual aspirants, renunciation is of help. But those who love the avatar and are under his direct guidance do not have to renounce anything. The lovers of the avatar have simply to obey the avatar's instructions and to love him wholeheartedly. Baba wants you, therefore, to pay all attention to your studies and sit for the examination and pass your examination. Then you find a suitable line to obtain a job and continue to edit the magazine, The Glow. I had by that time started The Glow. All these are your responsibility, no less important than the aspirant who has no avatar to guide him and has to renounce everything. Do you see how he words it? How carefully he tells you what is important for you, what your responsibility is? In short, Baba wants you to continue to live as now. Do your duty and love and obey your beloved Baba. Baba is well pleased with your love for him, and he wants you to love him more and more while doing all your worldly duties. Baba wants you to know that he does not wish to be disturbed till November 1967, and therefore he will not be giving his darshan to anyone. Baba wants you to go out camping and not come to Pune this summer for his darshan. Baba also wants you to take good care of your health and be always happy and cheerful, knowing fully well that Baba is, underline is, with you and that you are very dear to him. Baba wants you to acknowledge this letter soon after you have noted its contents carefully. So this was another step of the way.
How did you take all of that?
Not well. I told him that I was coming. I wrote to him that I was coming. So meanwhile, my father had written to Baba, but then this was okay. Then this was the letter. A few days later, then I wrote to Baba when finally he wrote to me saying that I have to obey him 100%. And he said that rest assured, one day my grace will be on you to know me as I am. The world will know who I am when I break my silence. And then he once again sent me another cable, which he said, to obey the God-man is the highest form of worship to God in human form. Obey me implicitly if one day you want to know me as I am. So one after the other, Baba sent these cables. And to my father, he sent a separate letter. He said, my father's name was Keki. My dear Keki, your very long letter in Gujarati was read to beloved Baba. And the picture of dear Naosherwan was shown to Baba too. It is beautiful. This is the picture of me as Vivekananda, dressed up as Vivekananda. In reply to your letter, Baba wants you to note that dear Naosherwan is very dear to him and that his nazar is on Naosherwan. Beloved Baba heard all the details given by you in your letter, and he wants you to note that Naosherwan sent a very loving telegram to Baba promising to abide by Baba's instructions and sit for the examination. That was my father's worry because I had refused to sit for the exams. Baba wants Naosherwan to appear for his BA final examination, attend the camp, and if called to Delhi, for the Rotary selection. I was also one of the finalists to join the Rotary Club overseas youth program. To attend that also and be very careful with his health. Baba wants you all not to worry, but to keep happy and cheerful in his love. You, Freni, that's my mother, and Naosherwan are very dear to him. Baba wants Naosherwan to leave everything to his will and pleasure, and it is Naosherwan's success and eventual victory. And in it is Naosherwan's success and eventual victory. To obey Baba is the highest of renunciation. For in obedience to the dictates of Baba's wishes, we automatically renounce imperceptibly all yearnings, stage by stage, till eventually we renounce even the thought of renunciation. Beloved Baba sends his love and blessing to you and to Freni and Naosherwan. So this is how the beloved takes care of you, step by step, protects you every step of the way. Then there are a couple of more letters also. So you have a question?
So this eventually got a little bit resolved in you, or I mean, you said you were going to go anyway.
Yes.
Were you a little bit more inclined to?
No, then in the letter he wrote that he wanted me to send a cable to Baba that I would obey him. And that I would not take that step to rushing off to Ahmednagar. And and he wanted me to send a letter to him. So I sent a letter to him, to which Baba responded the very next day. That letter was March 30th. This letter is March 31st. So you can see how I was keeping Baba busy. My dear Naosherwan, on the eve of our departure to Pune, I read your very loving letter of 29th instant to beloved Baba. In reply to your letter, Baba wants you to note that your love and obedience made him very happy and he's pleased with you. He wants you to know that his nazar is on you. Therefore, you should not worry about anything, but hold fast to his daman till the end and love him more and more. It's a beautiful letter. Baba wants you to take good care of your health and not brood over it. He wants you to keep happy and cheerful. If you and your parents feel that your health and your sentiments do not permit you to join the army, then do not do so. Baba has no objection to this, but if possible and convenient, why lose the good opportunity of the 6-week camp scheduled in May? Well, if your health won't permit this, then Baba has no objection to your dropping this idea altogether. But if your health is good and you feel well, then why miss such a privilege and profitable experience in life? The camping will add one more feather to your cap. So he gave, on both sides, he gave these options. But then listen to this carefully. If you go out on a long holiday, instead of going out camping as scheduled, then Baba wants you to be very particular that you don't be led astray by any Tom, Dick, Harry of a spiritual master. Beware of such cheap experiences and spiritual stunts of spiritual clowns. Baba orders you not to pay visits to Mahatmas or saints or walis or peers or yogis or spiritual masters. Baba wants you to hold fast to his daman. He knows everything. He also knows of your deep love for him. And this is the reason.
Someone
And
must
this
have
is-
come unmuted. Yeah.
Beg pardon?
Someone must have come unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll read this a little again. Baba wants you to hold fast to his daman. He knows everything. He also knows of your deep love for him. And this is the reason why he takes so much trouble to explain these things to you. The world will know who he is when he will break the silence. And then you too will realize Baba's infinite love for you and his lovers. So do you see how Baba, like a father explaining to his son point by point and giving instructions? Because I was in such a fragile state of mind that Baba had to give me these instructions, because I had told my parents that I was going. I would disobey Baba if need be, but I was going. And my mother would say, what happens if somebody at this fragile state? So this is exactly what she had written to Baba. That Baba, he's in a very fragile state of mind and he could be led astray. And that's why Baba, my beloved father, was taking care of me every step of the way. That's how he takes care of each one of you every step of the way. He never abandons any of you. Every step of the way he takes care of you, even though you may not think that he is taking care of you. He is in charge and he will take care of you. Rest assured. So, that's where we are at. So, what was your question again, Jeff?
No, this is, so where did you go from here? What's, now you, and you're coming up to 67, which was when you were going to get to meet him again, I guess, right? But just,
no, I was going to meet him in, I was to meet him again in 19. I met him in 60.
there's a
I met him in
65 darshan.
66. I think I met him again in 66. But I'm trying to recollect when I met him again. Okay, so then I met him again in 68, I think. I met him again in 68. Yeah.
So from 62 to 68.
No, 62. Then I started in 66. I started the Glow. So I was in correspondence with him for quite some time. And then we met again I'm trying to recollect when I met him again. It was in 1960. I think I met him again in 66 itself. I met him again in 66 when I went for there was a Pune, at Pune, where I met him in Guru Prasad.
Yeah. Now, do you want to, should we stop here and then you can, and this will be, what do you think? I mean, it's kind of 11 o'clock and everything here, or after, and that would be really nice because we can get you to come again if you don't mind, and you can tell us the next the next chapter. What do you think? And plus, well, I'll say that, but then if there are any questions, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions if you
Yeah.
have. So let's end it here. So I'm ending it in 1966.
Yeah. So you didn't see Baba in the darshan he gave in 1965 in Pune for the Easterners. You may have actually.
No, I'm trying to recollect. No, I don't think I did. No, I didn't.
Uh-huh.
Because 66, all this happened. And then 67. And then I think I met him again in 68.
Yeah.
There was another darshan program, and that was in Guru Prasad.
Yeah. So yeah, so we'll save that up for us next time. And any of the correspondence that you happen to find in the attic or the basement or wherever
Yeah.
would be great. And but then let's open it to anybody have any questions. Oh, we got Alan Manukian has a question for you.
Sure.
Jai Baba, Naosherwan.
Jai Meher Baba. I'm trying to place you here.
I'm right here. I don't know. Well,
Ah,
I guess I have to speak before. Yeah, there. Thank you very much for sharing. Very, very touching of your experiences with Baba. I'd like to know, in terms of when you were physically in Baba's presence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's that experience.
I'll be sharing that for the next time.
Yeah. No, I didn't finish the question. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, when you're in Baba's presence physically, right? There's that experience, and then now that he's dropped his body, and when you experience Baba's darshan now, where you are now, what is the difference, or what is the similarity, or how do you experience Baba now that you have experienced his physicality to now where he's internal and everywhere at the same time?
The kind of work that I do helps me experience Baba's presence all the time. I run Beloved Archives. I publish The Glow. I do books on Meher Baba.
I think you froze there.
Yeah, he's it's past his bedtime, I think.
You might have gone into the spiritual state of Hairat, which is where you get frozen
Yeah.
in one form forever.
Yeah, this
So
is
perhaps
what Baba
that-
told him not to do, right?
Yeah.
He's in samadhi, I guess. He ran into one of those yogis in Bombay and okay, let's see. Oh, I think he's, oh good, you're back. Naosherwan, we lost you. Oop, we can't hear you though.
You're muted, Naosherwan.
Yeah, I was saying that Baba has fashioned and molded my life in such a way that I am focused on Baba 24/7 in the sense that I run Beloved Archives. I've just completed a book on Meher Baba, which is over 500 pages long, and from boyhood to godhood. Meher Baba, from boyhood to godhood. So my life is completely wrapped around Baba all the time. So I think of him all the time. And also, how should I share him? In how many ways can I share him? Whether it's the glow or the book or sharing in talks or whatever. So that's been my life, and that's been the gift that Baba has given me.
And Naosherwan, do you picture him I mean, kind of as you knew him probably in the late 60s, when you're doing your work and you feel his company, what era of his life are you picturing him? Do you find him most um, likely to picture him as?
Uh, the last time the second last time I met Baba was in Guru Prasad, and that was the time that I spent most of my time with him extensively. I spent half a day with him in Mandli Hall in Guru Prasad, and then my last meeting was with him in 1968 December, when Dara and Amrit got married on that day. That was my last meeting with him. So the one in Pune was my most significant because he gave me so much time. He gave me so much attention. He gave me instructions. He gave me experiences. It was a lot. It was a lot to contain. And that was, and when Baba gives you these gifts, they stand in good stead all your life. I just recall them every single time I bow down to him.
Yeah. So save that for next time, especially too. But we got some more hands. We got.
I'll be happy to answer questions as long as you want.
I think Prakash was the next one.
Yes, Prakash.
Hey, Baba, this should be simple. But in 1953, when you were 7 years old and you met Baba for the first time with Mehra and Mani and everybody, did your mom and dad prepare you in some way saying that, look, I mean, we are going to see God, so don't misbehave or things like that?
No, my attraction to Meher Baba was so spontaneous that I wanted to do things for him to please him, as a little child would try to do for his father. Baba asked me to play the tabla on the dining table, and I did that. And he gave me a little gift of a small little wallet, a small plastic purse with his picture in it. So as a little child, we were constantly getting gifts. When he came from the United States in 1953, he brought a kaleidoscope for me, and he gave me a kaleidoscope, which we still have in beloved archives. And he brought a little, on another occasion when I did something for him, he gave me a little duck that he had brought, that others who had given him these gifts in the West, in America, he brought them and he gave them to us. So it was always a joy to be with him. He was like the father, and there was no mistaking that.
Yeah, beautiful.
There you go.
I'm going to ask Josh here. He's from Australia.
Yes.
Hey, Naosherwan. Yeah, it's.
Hi, Jai Baba. Is that Wolverton?
Yeah, Joshua
Yeah.
Walter. Yeah. I was wondering, like, you have really good advice and really great stories, but if you had to boil it down to one piece of advice for future Baba lovers, what would it be?
I am not in the business of giving advice, Josh, because the spiritual life is not pieces of advice, it's in its entirety. All I can say is hold on to his daman. Despite what your drawbacks are, setbacks are, hold on to his daman firmly each day, every moment, because even the negativities that you face are a part of your sanskaric whole, part of the sanskaric plan, even the negativities. And remember one thing, you are his, and he will never, ever, ever forsake you. He will never forsake you. Because he is not only your father and mother, he is your God, your personal God. And when you reach out to him, he will always respond. But don't expect that response in your time. It will always be in his time. Remember that.
Excellent. Good question and good answer. Excellent.
He's our best friend.
Okay, so Sally, we'll go up.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Sally.
Just wanted to know what your sister was up to at that time when you were having this fervor of meeting Baba and you wanted to leave home, and how was she reacting? I'm very curious to know about her.
By the time I went through all this tremendous roller coaster ride in my life, my sister had been married and had left the house.
Oh, okay. What age did she get married
She
at?
got married very early. She was even, I think she got married at 18, 19 or something. And very early, she got married to a Baba lover who lived in Dehradun. And then she just moved to Assam, where her husband was in the tea estates. So she didn't see any of what I had gone through.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Yeah. So there's a Dinku.
She had her own experiences with several incidents in her own life in relation to Baba when she was still not married.
Yeah. Okay. We should get her sometime on both of you, and then you can interview your sister.
She lives in Houston.
Yeah, well, this is an open. If you and she want to share. I mean, I don't know how shy she is or whatever, but
she's not shy at all.
That'd be beautiful, and you could be you could draw her out, and all of that. But next person is Dinku. Now Dinku's from Bombay. She knew the mysteries and the Dada Chanjis there. But
Dinku, what's your last name? I think she has muted.
Dinku.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my last name is Daruwala.
Daruwala.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to ask you that when you said you met Baba for the last time in 1968, and he gave you a lot of talks and advice, do you think he knew that that would be the last time that you would meet him? And that's why he gave you so much?
That I'll come to that meeting, which was 40 days before he dropped his body. I met him, and his last words to me were, "My time has come." And he uttered those 3 times. So when I narrate that story to you, I will end it on that meeting with these words. But since you've asked me now, his last words to me were, "My time has come." And he said that once. I left the room and I was called again, and he said, "My time has come." And I left the room and he called me a 3rd time and he said, "My time has come." And that was my last meeting with Meher Baba in his bedroom in Mehrazad.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that next time. You can fill it all out, So we got Mahu from LA.
Yes, Mahu.
Yes, so I'm very pleased with your talk and all your wonderful narration and this inner conviction we pick up from you, Nashwan. So Baba's gift for sure. So, my question is, Baba said, I don't need no propaganda or parasar. I let your life be the message of my love and truth. And if anybody wants to know about me, you reflect, they look at you, and then you are the symbol or reflection of my messages. So, this is very extraordinary. There are very specific features about this advent and this avatar, and this is one of them. So, when I look at your life, and of course you haven't talked about it all, but I've heard it, other times and so forth. And just the way that you responded to Alan is that you're working every minute of your life with activities and producing and generating, for Baba. And of course, that was his mandate to you, and you're expanding on it and so forth, which is a wonderful privilege, isn't it, Nashwan? I'm sure
it's a blessing. Yeah.
God has given it to you, and you will deserve it. We're not going to go there. But not everybody is, perhaps all his lovers have been in that close proximity or meeting him and have that most wonderful connection and so forth. So my question is that now that you're in the West, Baba left his body in 1969. And of course, your mother, most wonderful mother, was in Dehradun, and I'm sure other relatives. You live in the West, you had your normal life, regular job, normal job, and so forth. So how did you handle situation where you get caught up in a currents of life? It's like something happens, you totally unexpected, and is devastating, or might be a health issue, might be this, might be that. It really gets to you. And so how do you maintain that flow even when you've been challenged by the currents of life? That's my question.
So it's a very good question, because each one of us experience the highs and lows in life. I've had to go through myself. But what Baba trains you as you go through life from day to day is consciously dedicating those instances that you face, both positives and particularly your negativities, at Baba's feet.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I do it, and I can only narrate how I deal with these issues from day to day, is that I have a chat with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him, and I explicitly tell him openly everything, as if I was sitting in his presence. That, Baba, I have this issue. How should I resolve it? I have this problem. How do I resolve it? And what Baba has taught me over a period of time is not to expect an answer in my time, but to expect the answer in his time.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow or the other, he will let me know that that he's in charge and that he will take care of me. Very quickly, I'll give you a little example of this. We were doing this extension to Beloved Archives over here. And without our knowledge that that the septic tank was at the back of the house, and that the connection was in the front, which was a government-owned pipe. We dug it open, and we found that there was no way of connecting to the pipe.
Yeah.
The township people came, 5-6 people, they dug, and finally 2-3 times, thousands of dollars worth of work, and they could not find the connector. And they said, threw up their hands and said, there's nothing we can do. I had become so desperate, because they said they couldn't do anything. So the house could not be connected to a water main. So I went to Baba and I said, Baba, whatever is your will, but please give me some kind of a solution. So when all of them had thrown up their hands, there was a woman who was walking around one day, a few days later, and she came up and said, do you have some kind of a problem? I don't know who this woman was. She, out of the blue, she turns up and she says, I think you have a problem, and if there's any way I can resolve it, I'll be happy. She says, I'm from the water department, which was not even her department. So she comes, I go with her, and she resolves it. But in the meantime, I fall at Baba's feet and I said, Baba, this is your house, house of the beloved. Do something. And here comes this archangel who fixes things.
Yeah.
So always remember that when Baba is in charge, hand it over to him. The trouble with us is that we find it difficult to hand it over to him. We are constantly believing that it's we who are the doers. No, we are the ones who he instructs us to do. And that's how we do it.
Excellent.
Very good. Thank you.
Wonderful. You know, this has been beautiful, Naosherwan. And yeah, I think well, a lot of these people are up past their bedtime, but we are, you know, it'd be lovely. And I would like to get Goer Mobed also sometime, if, you know, just like this, and you have a lot of lovely things that you can share, and we could do it as an interview or something like that. Your father especially is, you know, so I'll find your email address or your phone number, and I'll give you a call, because you had times with Baba, and your father has a very special story because he was very close with Baba going back to the 30s. So
Sure.
you know, we
did a book on with Meenu called The God Seeker.
Yeah, that's a beautiful book. Beautiful. And he was a wonderful writer as well. I thought he did beautifully as a writer. So anyway, unless there is anything else, we're all going to go to Alan Talbot's for dinner. And Karen is making a big spread, and we'll just show up. All you have to do is have your vaccination permit, and then you can go.
No masks allowed.
Let's see.
Masks allowed.
So, I think, what do you think? Shall we say, let's have a few moments of silence, and then we'll say Avatar Mir Baba Ki Jai. Avatar, Mayor Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar.
Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar,
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba
Tamir Baba Jai.
Naosherwan, thank you. You brought Baba right here in the midst of us
Tamir Baba Ki Jai.
so vividly, and yeah, you spoke so spontaneously and freely, and you gave us real vivid picture of your times with Baba. And a lot of people haven't even met anybody who has met Baba, so this is wonderful. Okay, well, it's hard to leave. You know,
Hey, Baba.
anyone have a last quote of Baba's words? Let's see.
I can read one quote, Jeff.
Oh, good.
Maybe two quotes.
Perfect.
Be prepared to believe in yourself, of being able to long for truth. Then you will know truth in its pure, infinite simplicity. Second quote. In everyday life, take no risks. In business, take a few risks. But to find God, take every risk.
Lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
Good one.
There's a line from Rumi where he says, gambling away the self is beyond every religion. Gambling away the self.
Can
beyond-
he repeat? Can he repeat again, Jeff?
Oh yeah, Mayor Prasad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be prepared to believe in yourself, of being able to long for truth. Then you will know truth in its pure, infinite simplicity. In everyday life, take no risks. In business, take a few risks. But to find God, take every risk.
Every risk. Thank you. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Okay, I hate to say goodbye.
Somebody's asked me a question, if I
Yeah.
can talk about the glow, how it started. So I'll share that at the next meeting.
Good. Okay.
Jeff, have a great few days off. We'll miss you.
Oh yeah. Good.
Yeah, Jeff. Have a nice holiday.
I'm not going to Zoom from a bathroom this time. Last time I took a vacation, I not to make any noise, I had to shut myself up in a bathroom. So anyway, I hate to leave. Great to see all of you, and Meryl and Naosherwan, that was just wonderful.
Thank you. Jai Meher
Yeah.
Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Meher Baba. Thank you, Naosherwan. Thank you, Jeff.
Jai Baba.
Yeah, sure.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Naosherwan.